In the NFL, the supplemental draft is so rare that most fans have no idea it even exists. But for one player, his entire career now depends on it. Yes, we're talking about Brendan Sorsby. Just months ago, his path to the NFL looked simple. Then a gambling controversy turned everything upside down. So which teams are willing to gamble on him? And why could this strange draft change everything? Let's break it all down. What is the NFL Supplemental Draft? Most NFL fans are familiar with the regular NFL draft that takes place every spring. The supplemental draft is completely different. Think of it as a second-chance draft for players who become eligible after the normal draft process has already ended. Sometimes a player faces unexpected circumstances. Other times academic issues, eligibility concerns, or off-field situations force them to leave college football earlier than expected. Instead of waiting another full year, those players can apply for the supplemental draft. If the NFL approves their application, teams are allowed to bid on them. But here's where things get interesting. There are no traditional draft picks during the event. Instead, teams secretly submit what round they are willing to spend on the player. If multiple teams submit bids, the team offering the highest pick wins. The catch? That team loses the corresponding pick in the following year's NFL draft. So if a team uses a third-round bid to select a player in the supplemental draft, they forfeit their third-round selection in the 2027 NFL Draft. That's why teams are usually very careful. They're not just drafting a player. They're borrowing from their future draft capital. Why Brendan Sorsby is different. Most supplemental draft prospects are fringe NFL players. Brendan Sorsby is different. Before everything changed, many scouts viewed him as a legitimate NFL quarterback prospect. He has the size teams want. He has the arm strength. He has starting experience. And unlike many developmental quarterbacks, he's already played a lot of meaningful football. At roughly 6'3" and over 230 pounds, Sorsby looks the part of an NFL quarterback. He's strong in the pocket and isn't afraid to take contact. He's also athletic enough to create plays with his legs when protection breaks down. That combination alone will get NFL scouts interested. Quarterbacks with his physical tools don't grow on trees. What makes Sorsby intriguing? The first thing that jumps off the screen is his arm talent. When he sees a window, he can drive the football into tight spaces with impressive velocity. He isn't one of those quarterbacks who needs everything perfectly open before pulling the trigger. He trusts his arm. Sometimes maybe a little too much. He's also a better runner than many people realize. We're not talking about a Lamar Jackson-type athlete, but he's mobile enough to extend plays, escape pressure, and pick up important first downs. In today's NFL, that skill is becoming increasingly valuable. Defenses are faster than ever, and quarterbacks who can move have a major advantage. Sorsby showed plenty of flashes of that ability throughout his college career. And that's one of the biggest reasons NFL teams will still be interested despite the questions surrounding his future. Because talent always gets attention in professional football, the biggest concern NFL teams have. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Because if football talent was the only thing that mattered, Brendan Sorsby probably wouldn't even be in the supplemental draft conversation. He'd likely be preparing for a normal NFL draft process. Instead, teams are being forced to answer a much harder question. Can they trust him? That's what every front office will be debating. Reports surrounding Sorsby's gambling issues completely changed the conversation about his NFL future. While many people have sympathy for someone dealing with addiction, NFL organizations are extremely protective of the integrity of the game. And history shows they don't take gambling violations lightly. We've seen players receive lengthy suspensions for far less. That doesn't automatically mean Sorsby's football career is over. Far from it. But it does mean every team interested in him will conduct extensive background checks before making a decision. Teams will want answers. Has he taken responsibility? Has he shown genuine progress? What safeguards are now in place? Can he be trusted inside an NFL building? Those questions may end up being more important than anything he ever did on the field. Is he worth the risk? This is where things become complicated. On pure talent alone, many evaluators believe Sorsby could have been selected somewhere in the middle rounds of a traditional NFL draft. Some scouts likely would have viewed him as a developmental quarterback with starter upside. The physical tools are there. The arm is there. The experience is there. But NFL teams don't draft talent alone. They draft people. And when teams are giving up future draft picks in the supplemental draft, they're usually looking for players with very few red flags. Sorsby unfortunately comes with one of the biggest red flags imaginable. That's why his draft value becomes difficult to predict. One general manager might see a future starting quarterback worth a third-round investment. Another might remove him from their draft board entirely. The range of outcomes is massive. What round could Sorsby go? Realistically, a first or second-round bid feels unlikely. The risk is simply too high. Remember, a team isn't just selecting him. They're giving up a future premium draft pick. That's a huge commitment. The most realistic range probably starts in the third round and extends into the fifth round. A third-round bid would show a team believes the talent outweighs the concerns. A fourth-round bid feels like the sweet spot. It's valuable enough to secure the player while limiting the risk if things don't work out. A fifth-round bid would be a lower-risk gamble by a team willing to take a chance on his upside. Anything later than that probably means another team jumps in first. Quarterbacks with NFL-level tools rarely stay available for long. Teams that make the most sense for Brendan Sorsby. Number 5. Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are one of the more interesting possibilities. Miami still has major questions about its long-term future at quarterback. Injuries have been a constant concern, and while they may have short-term options on the roster, they still need a developmental player who could potentially grow into something bigger. Sorsby fits that mold perfectly. The Dolphins wouldn't need him to play right away. Instead, they could let him sit, learn the system, and focus on football while continuing to rebuild his reputation off the field. The biggest question is whether Miami would be willing to give up a valuable future draft pick. A fifth-round bid feels realistic, but anything higher might be too much. Number 4. New York Jets. The Jets are another team worth watching. Even if they have a temporary solution at quarterback, nobody knows what their quarterback room will look like 2 years from now. That's why taking a chance on a talented player like Sorsby could make sense. The Jets have spent years searching for stability at the position. Sometimes teams in that situation become more willing to gamble on upside. If they believe their coaching staff can develop him and help him stay focused, a fourth-round bid wouldn't be shocking. The risk is obvious, but so is the potential reward. Number 3. Cleveland Browns. No team loves taking chances on quarterbacks quite like Cleveland. The Browns have spent years cycling through quarterbacks looking for an answer. Even when they think they've found one, uncertainty usually follows. That's why Sorsby feels like a player they could seriously consider. From a football standpoint, his arm talent and athletic ability would fit well in an offense that likes quarterbacks capable of creating outside the pocket. More importantly, Cleveland has shown in the past that they aren't afraid of difficult evaluations if they believe the talent is worth it. Whether that's smart or not is another conversation. But if Sorsby enters the supplemental draft, don't be surprised if the Browns are one of the teams making phone calls. Number 2. Arizona Cardinals. This might be the most underrated fit. Arizona has weapons all over the offense. Young receivers, talented running backs, a strong tight end group, and an organization that still needs more long-term depth at quarterback. What makes the Cardinals interesting is that they can afford patience. They wouldn't need Sorsby to become a starter tomorrow. They could spend years developing him while allowing him to learn behind veterans. For a player who still has areas of his game that need refinement, that's a huge advantage. The environment would give him time to grow without the pressure of immediately saving a franchise. Sometimes that's exactly what a young quarterback needs. Number 1. Atlanta Falcons. If I had to pick one team, this would be it. Atlanta makes more sense than anyone. The Falcons have talent throughout the roster, but the long-term quarterback situation still feels uncertain. And whenever there's uncertainty at quarterback, teams should explore every option. Sorsby's skill set fits what Atlanta likes offensively. He has enough mobility to extend plays. He can attack downfield. And he has the physical tools coaches love working with. Most importantly, Atlanta could provide something every young quarterback needs: structure. The organization wouldn't be asking him to carry the franchise. They'd simply be asking him to develop. That's why Atlanta feels like the cleanest fit of all the potential destinations.